everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative, and I'm just going to adjust my camera a little bit here, not too much there. I think that's maybe a little bit better. Okay, today we're going to be doing a little bit of an experiment because I want to see if I can recreate something. I have got my resin all mixed up with the color and glitter that I want. This mold here is one that I made up. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's got all these little dots in it. And when I've been doing pieces and it's got, you know, that intensity of grooves and whatnot, not every time can I get the piece to come out properly. Like the mold, I know this mold isn't perfect with how it was made. However, the majority of the, you know, indentations are there for me. What I want to do is show you something I had done previously. I had some leftover resin. I used this mold and I created these two pieces here. And I'm going to do my best just to show you, and I'm going to bring it up to the camera as close as I can. So if we look at this, one, I love the shine on this, but most of the indents have shown up properly on here. Like I don't have holes and whatnot like I normally would, like the air bubbles and whatnot in this like I normally would. So I thought I'd show you what I did. Now if this, I'm not 100% going to say this is going to work every time for you, but it is an option on what you can potentially do. Okay, let me bring that one up closer. My black hand cover, this might not be the best idea, right? Here, we'll use this. Let me get that up there. So in looking at it, most of the indents, I mean, they're solid. They're the way they're supposed to be. Seems odd saying indents and that they're the way they're supposed to be. But anyway, they turned out pretty decently. So I wanted to give it a go again. I wanted to show you what I did. Now, I'm going to maybe use this tool here, which is a silicone. I'm trying to think. I might have used this as well, the tip of this as well, to get into it. Now I have some other molds here that we're going to work with as well, and then I'll tell you what my resin is and the colors I used in it. So I've got this one, which again has the indents in it and even the ones around the side. I have this big heart, little past Valentine's, but that's okay. And then we've got this one, and this is a Wilton mold. I've got two of them, and I got these a long time ago. So this will be a really good example too. So what we're going to do is something simple. And the other thing I wanted to mention to you that I had done with this resin, when I was warming it up, I actually have been warming things up twice just to work on getting rid of air bubbles. And the other thing I did was, when I did it the second time, I took... So I had my, you know, part A, part B in this, and then I took one of these sticks, and before I put it in the water the second time, I went around the outside to sort of mix it up a little bit so that when it warmed it up again, it wasn't warming up the same resin again. And hopefully that makes sense. I just thought it might help with keeping it warm and having it a more uniform warmth within it. So I just thought I would mention that to you as well. Okay, so let's do one of these and I'll show you what I mean. I need to get this further out of the way. Love how thick that mold is for the piece that's in there. Yeah. Went a little overboard on that one for sure, for sure. All right. So we're going to pour a little bit of this resin in to these squares. And then I'm going to stop. So I don't have much in there at all. Now this is not going to work. This is too big. This would probably work on my Wilton piece. So let's take this. And all I did was I just went up and used this to get the resin into the indents. Like I thought, I want to be able to do this so that I can like get resin everywhere, instead of just, you know, pouring it in and hoping for the best. So I thought this would be an interesting way. And it worked on those two pieces that I did. So I thought, well, I will show you what I've done. And then you can either give this a go yourself or not. That's totally up to you. I wish I had this on something I could move around. Anyway, that's basically what I had done on these to get, I'm going to put this on something because this is going to drive me a little nuts. Put that over there. This will work. Let's put that on there. And then we can move that around. So it might be helpful to have something that you can use to move things around. And that's all I did. I mean, it may seem really simple. I didn't tell you what colors I used, did I? Nope. All right. So now what we'll do is we'll pour the rest of my resin in there, and then I'll tell you the colors. And I might put a little bit more and then, you know, sort of move it around again. I'm hoping that by having that base in there, it helps with getting resin everywhere and that we don't get those air bubbles. Okay. Now, what colors did I use? Well, I've used an eye candy. This is a color shift. That's what the CS beside the name says. I'm going to call this Gari. Again, don't know if that's correct pronunciation, but that's by Eye Candy. And then I also threw in some Craft Glitter by Hemingway. And this is, does it say on the back of this what color this is? Pink Holographic. Okay, so let's fill that one up. I'd like to have a matching set of this, and then we'll go on to one of the others. I can let you know that I've had enough of winter. We've got here where I am, we've gotten spoiled the last couple of years with, you know, not getting a lot of snow, not having many storms. And this year, like, we are just where I am, we're getting a lot of storms. We have gotten a lot of storms, and we've gotten a lot of snow. And my snowblower decided that it should stop working, so I've had to learn how to use my husband's snowblower. And that was kind of interesting, but I managed. I figured it out, because one of the storms that we just had recently, I ended up with about a foot of snow in my driveway. My driveway is quite long, and I had no choice. I had to get the snow out, not because I needed to go anywhere, but I just knew I couldn't let it would be in deep doo-doo until he got when he got home. But yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride with snow this year, and more on the way. More on the way. Okay. So if you happen to live in Canada and you've been experiencing that as well, let me know. Because it's been a little crazy. And I know I had mentioned in one of my previous videos about, you know, getting overwhelmed with everything that's going on right now. And I am going to work very diligently on just not engaging, because, you know, with so much going on and what's in the news, I mean, you can't get away from it. So prior to starting this video, I had been upstairs and there'd been something in our local group. And I started reading and went, no, you put that down. You're not doing this. You need to focus on something happier, something lighter. And so I'm starting to spend more time listening to YouTube videos that are uplifting and help me to sort of give me some ideas on what I can do to not get engaged. Some people would think that's wrong of me, that I should be in the thick of things, but I don't want to be, because it's not serving me at all. And I'm not willing to do it. I've had enough. Yeah. Okay, let's do this Wilton one, because I think this will be a really good experiment. And that one I should be able to use my other one. So I'm going to just start in the middle here and pour this in here. My glove is sticking to my hand. I've gotten too sweaty too fast in my gloves this morning, and they're starting to irritate me. Okay, so we're just going to take it and we're just going to move this about. And like I said, this may not work every time, but if it's something that you can use to help get into those little crevices, then I think this is great. I'm not recommending this for the 10-minute polyurethane, just because that starts to set up way too quickly. And you want to be able to give yourself some time to do this. So I'm not recommending it. You can try it. I'm not going to, but you definitely can give it a go and let me know how that works for you. I just figure it'll be too much, because it's just going to set up too quickly. Whereas with, two-part epoxy, you've got some time, not hours by any stretch, but you've got more time than you would with. And I think for something like this, I look at it and go, I don't want to be rushed doing it. So it's like, let's just do this and use a resin that gives us some time. I'm not even sure, like, you could try it with, and I don't have any of the 4-hour cure. And I guess for me now, I don't really need the 4-hour cure, because I've got my heating mat, which will help me with, the curing process. I'm trying to stay on camera as best I can here, people. So I would, I don't really need to buy that anymore. Trying to get this up in some of the spots, and it's not. There we go. All right, I feel like I've done a really good job pressing this in here. And you'll be able to see when your spots fill in. As I say, this may not be, perfect, and you may have some, some spots that aren't completely filled in, but I think it's going to be better than before. I'm going to put a little bit more on here, and then I'm going to use my lighter, and I have to get some more. I'm running I've got my last two going over here. One's not got much left in it, so I'm gonna have to work on getting some more of those. And as you can tell, I'm not going over this really fast. I'm just taking my time. It's been a while since I've asked a question, so I'm going to ask, when you want to get away from social media, are there podcasts you listen to, or are there uplifting things you listen to that actually help when you're a little stressed out? I'd be really curious. So if you have a favorite podcast or a favorite YouTube channel, do you mind putting it in the links below, and then I'll, go have go check it out and see what else I can find of, you know, interest to me and that will, you know, is uplifting. That would be great. I'd appreciate that. And maybe it'll be something others may find helpful and useful. Alrighty. This is actually a cool piece. I know it's meant for, now I don't bake, so I'm probably not going to get this right. Oh, there's something you can make that's, I want to, not like a clay, that's not, it's made out of a gum material, I think, for cakes and whatnot. If I watched more cooking shows, I'd know exactly what I was talking about. But anyone out there who bakes, I know you'll know what I'm referring to. Okay, so pour just a little bit more in that. I don't need much. And I think because of how much I've got left, I'm actually going to do the heart next. So let's just throw that off to the side, place it off to the side, and let's do this heart. Now this might be a little more challenging just because of the depth of it. I guess I shouldn't say that because those were as well. So let's just start up here at the top, or the bottom, I guess. And let it flow in. And then I'm just going to take some, I want to get in around the hanger part of this. I made 50 mils in case anyone's interested. I'm not thinking that's going to work. It's a little too big. Yeah, this is going to be a challenge. I think I'm going to have to get more in here before I even attempt to do that. So let's move this around before we concern ourselves with doing that spot. So let me know if you've done something like this before, if you think this will be helpful to you. Again, it was just something that I decided to do because I didn't want to lose the detail in the pieces. I was make more of them at the time because I really liked the color. Now, if you had a really chunky glitter or you were putting chunky, yeah, I guess I'll just say chunky glitter in, you may still end up with some issues. Just because of the glitter. But the glitter I'm using is fairly fine, so I don't perceive that I'm going to have an issue with it, but we'll find out. I feel like my resin's starting to set up a little bit. I'm not putting these on the heat mat. I'm just going to let these dry with, you know, the 24 hours. And I think the nice thing about also taking your lighter over top is if you get any air bubbles, you know, sort of popping up to the top because of what you're doing. So I think that'll be helpful too. So let's just I think I've done a pretty good job now of doing that. I always figured if I started at one spot and then it was allowed to roll down, that it would get in everywhere, but that's not always the case. And where I find that especially true is the nutcrackers I have, the mold I have, they're very detail oriented, and I have ended up having to use UV resin on them because I haven't got in all the spots. So I might, you know, at some point give a go of those again and see if this will work for them to get it in versus trying to take a dotting tool and go in to all the spots. I mean, a dotting tool is great, don't get me wrong. I just wonder if this would be a better way of doing. Okay, I'll work on getting that up and around that in a moment. Okay, now I'm just going to take the rest of this and get it in here. And hopefully it's been working on getting up into that. And then I've got enough. I really like this heart. I've got another one too that's sort of like the first two pieces we did. But it's, I don't know where. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Now let's see if we can get some of this up and around the top of this. It's a really tight fit. And I guess in some ways I don't even need to do this, but we'll work on it. I can always clean it up, right? Hopefully. Okay. I have a little bit left. I'm wondering if I can do two of the small. I don't know whether to put the rest in here or just see about doing a couple more. So I'm going to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my resin. And then when we are ready to take these out of the mold, I will bring you back, obviously, and we'll see how well our color shift works. I mean, it looks really pretty. It's almost like it's got a copper and pink in it. Copper and then a pink color to it. So it's actually very pretty. I don't know how why that's, again, with the red, it might be difficult. But we'll get a better look at it when these pieces are done. I'll finish cleaning up what resin I have left in this mold. And then here's to the success of it. No, I don't want to work that. I'll do the other ones. Here's to the success of, yeah, having these turn out, oops, like these ones did. I'll see you then. Okay, let's see how we fared doing these pieces. I managed to get a couple of more of these done. I was going to fill them up with UV resin because they're not quite level. I'll do that later, but let's see how everything turned out. And I think we'll start with this one. I think this had a lot of interesting little nuances to it. So let's see how it turned out. And hopefully, plan worked, you know, this comes out the way I want it to. Because like what I say, with some of these molds you can get, there are a lot of intricate spots to them, and you want to make sure, or at least I do, that you get them filled up. Now this is going to be a bit of a challenge to see because of the color of it. Maybe if I had used white it might work. Now what we can do, I'm willing to, I just want to get one of my chrome markers, and I'm trying to think what color might serve my purpose the best. Let's see. I think silver would really help to highlight that. I just gotta give me a second while I get myself rearranged and back into the way I want to be here. I'd kind of like to use gold on this, but I'm thinking the silver might show up better. So let's do the silver and see how this turns out. I just need to check and make sure it's gonna. All right, let's do this because it'll help you to see better. I think that's important that you be able to see it. I have to make sure I don't get my fingers in it. That's happened to me before. So it's turning out pretty nicely on this. Oops. Yeah, now I have to be careful. Now there's some of the spots right up close around the edges that I know I've got some air pockets in. All right. So I'm going to try and get that off without putting my fingers in it. And bring that up. I want to get that into the light so you can see it. I think that came out really decently. So I've got some that are right here at the edge that I didn't get quite enough resin into. So right up at these, you know, top corners and whatnot, I have some air bubbles, but all in all, that came out pretty decent. So just kind of try. I don't want to drop it. Okay. So that looks pretty cool. Depending on the colors you did that in, this would make a cool ornament at Christmas time. I like it. Okay, so there's that one. So as you can see, I mean, that's a really detailed pattern in there. So I think doing the way I did it helped to make sure that we got resin into all the different spots on that. So let's do our big heart next. I think the part I'm most concerned about is around the hole. I still can't believe how thick I made that mold. Yeah. I don't know whether I just made way too much up or what I was thinking when I did this one. Okay, so this one's hard to see as well. I may have picked totally the wrong colors on this. So this is going to be really hard for you to see as well. Maybe I didn't pick the right color. And the design that's on this one doesn't lend itself as easily to me going over with the silver marker. I'm just wondering what will happen if I attempt to do it, because I don't want to, you know, like get you into crevices that don't make any sense. Let's see what we can do, because I want you to be able to see. That's the whole point of this. So let's just see what we can do with this. I don't know how well it's gonna work, but I guess the only way I'm gonna find that out is by actually doing it right. I'm almost wondering if I should have used a different color on this particular piece. Or if I'd done something darker, that might have been more helpful in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, a darker color might have been better on this one. I don't know how long it's going to take this to... dry to potentially put a different color on that. Yeah, this isn't going to show up very well. I think maybe the gold or the copper might have been a bit better, but I'll bring it up as close as I can for you. Yeah, this isn't showing up near as well as the other one did. But again, I think the concept is a solid one as far as being able to get, you know, more of your design showing through. So I'm going to put that down, and hopefully, I don't want to break that. That's the hook part's a little soft. So we'll come back to that and see if it will sort of dry. I might take my heat gun to it just so we can dry it up a little bit, and maybe try either the copper or the gold on top of the silver to see how it turns out. But let's get these guys out, because this is the mold that I started with initially. And I'm looking to make these, you know, potentially excuse me, into earrings. It's kind of neat when I pull these out because of the suction of them, to hear them pull out. All right, so I'm trying to, yeah, I think I do down there. But anyway, I can put these up against it. You can see them better than me using my hand, because that might, the reflection off of this might help more. I hadn't thought about that. Let's see what it does for this piece. I don't know if it helps that piece or not. Does it? I don't want to go over those pieces with the marker. That I don't want to do. But I'll bring them up close to the camera. Up there, really, really close so you can see them. I'm going to put on my other glasses that have the magnifiers in them, if you will, so I can have a good look at these close up. You seriously have got to get these on the right angle to see. But they're looking pretty good, and I'm catching them with the light. That's what's helping me to see them, is as I catch them with the light. And you got to get it at the right angle. I think we've done a pretty good job on these as far as getting the resin into. I know I'm not getting these in the right visual for you, but you may be catching it. So we may have some that aren't perfect, and there's also the potential that the piece I used wasn't exactly perfect. But having said that, I think we've got a very good, it's worked out fairly well for me. Now the other thing, and I meant to do it and I haven't done it, you know, I think of these things and then I sit down and start doing my video and I had forgotten. But there are bezels out there that you can get for, I want to say, these squares, the hearts, and the rounds and ovals that you could potentially put these inside of. So I look at these particular pieces as being something you could make earrings out of, or a pendant out of, depending on what you wanted to do. Now, one thing I had thought about was my dog earrings, and I don't have enough pieces to do this. I believe that when I made these two, the heart and the circle, I was basing it using some of the resin I had left over, and I mixed something else in with it. But just to give you an idea, so even something like that, okay, where you're using this and doing a pierced earring and then having that as a dangle. So there's that. That I see as potentially being a pendant. Granted, depending on how big you like your earrings, you could wear that as an earring. These two I definitely see as earring material, and these two as well. Obviously, this to me would be a pendant. And what you could do is this piece in here, the hanger, isn't very thick. So what you potentially could do is just get rid of that altogether and then put a hole through the center of it. So let's see if I can go over this. This has been sitting for a couple of minutes now. Let's go over this with gold and see if it brings up that design any better. Here, I want to put this on some paper just to clean it out. Not clean it out, but just get things running. I think I need to use these markers a little more often than what I do, because it's coming out, but it's not coming out really well. And I also want to be really careful because I don't want to have gobs of it coming out either. Okay, well, let's just work with that and see what happens. There may be a trick I don't know when it comes to using these markers. I know I'm taking some of the silver off as I move my hand around. That's where I think this gold's working better, giving it, bringing out more of the design on it, which is helpful. So I get my hand covered as well. All right, let's put that down. So you should be able to see that better now. Let's get these guys all off of here. So yeah, I'm pleased with these guys. And I can see a hole in this one here. And I'll probably try and stick them back in there. I had thought, can I get them with the UV resin before I show you the video? And then, like I said, I totally forgot. But they're very, I love the design of that. I like the shape of it. Okay, so let's take these two off. And let's put the heart back in the center there. And let me bring that up to you now. I'm trying, I don't want it to fall off while I turn it. So how's that? Is that better for you? I want to get it up. Oh, there we go. I get a little frustrated with myself only because I'm trying to get it in the right spot for you to be able to see things. And that doesn't always, the little video camera I'm looking at, the display is sometimes challenging for me. Alrighty. So the gold definitely stands out on that better. Anyway, that is it. I just wanted, I had, as I said, I'd done these two blue pieces and I thought this is kind of cool that these are coming out as well as they are. Now the dark color definitely is easier to see than these rose colored ones, and that's kind of unfortunate, but I did want to try out the pigment to see how the color shift works. So I guess we can flip this over to kind of give you an idea of that. I'm not sure how well. Let me get that back up here, and I mean it's noticeable, I don't know how much my glitter is impacting sort of the color on the back here, but no, that's too much of a shine. So like that. Anywho, the sun would probably definitely help in, you know, showing that off more. I do like that I've put gold on that because it definitely shows that up well, and the silver work. This is a matte mold, so that may be too why it's helping bring this up, whereas that's a shiny mold that I had for the heart. Again, this was just an idea. I thought it was a good tip that you could use moving forward. So again, it's just a matter of putting a little bit of resin inside your mold and then using something like I did, whether it be a silicone tool like this one or something small like this one, to be able to get your resin into all those areas, because we know that once you get resin moving in a certain, you know, way, it will flow to get there. So yes, the outer edges are probably a little more challenging because you're pooling basically the resin in the center, but as you move it out, it will fill in those crevices so that it gives you a nice defined piece at the end of the day. And again, sometimes, you know, I just do videos of, you know, making just a piece without anything specific regarding a tip or, you know, a tip or trick. But I wanted to share this one with you. So I hope you find it helpful. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I appreciate you showing up. It is Family Day in Canada, so I hope for all the Canadians they're having a great Family Day. And if there's any kind of celebration going on down in the States, I hope that you have fun at that as well. So that's it. That's all. Be creative, because that's what we're here for. Be joyful as much as you can. Take care, and bye for now.